Hello everyone! Welcome to any new subscribers, any new viewers. My name is Marian Guevara and today I'm going to be doing a little bookshelf tour. So I'll tell you how they're arranged. So up here on this shelf, these are the special edition hardcovers. This first shelf here, these are films. So if you want a separate video for me to show off that collection, just let me know. Then over here on the second shelf, this is where all the special editions of classics, this is where I keep them. And then below that is just literally everything else. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. And I'll start off with these books on top here. The first one here is this beautiful, gorgeous edition of The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is the famous Corley Bickford Smith designed one. And it has this gilded Art Deco design. And on the back, we have the removable bookmark. Then we have this Mina Lima edition of The Little Mermaid and Other Fairy Tales. Mina Lima is the same company that illustrates the illustrated Harry Potter series. And then these are great. They not only do fairy tales, but they also do like children's classics. So this one has beautiful beautiful illustrations, but then also plenty of interactive elements like this one. I won't open all of them, but yeah, this is a beautiful edition. Next we have one of my folio editions. Folio is, if you want like a high quality hardback, you go with folio. Granted, they are pricey, of course. You know, there's a lot of love and care that goes into making these. But yeah, this is my edition of Housemoving Castle. Housemoving Castle is one of my favorites. And yeah, strong, sturdy, and they come in with their own case with a design on it. So yep. Next is my folio edition of Rebecca. I won't take it completely out of the sleeve because this one is tricky to get back in. But yeah, this is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Beautifully detailed, one of the best looking editions of Rebecca ever made, in my opinion. Then we have the Barnes & Noble edition of The Arabian Nights, translated by Sir Richard F. Burton. And there are many editions of The Arabian Nights, but I wanted this one because of the gorgeous pattern. And oh my god, just look at that. Look at all of that detail. It's astounding. And then, of course, you know, you have the gilded edges. So yeah. So the last book to feature from the top shelf is this, Crimson Peak, The Art of Darkness. The only The Art of Movie book that I currently own, and I own it for, it's just gorgeous. I love the aesthetic of Crimson Peak, and the art book is just beautiful. Look at that. So happy to have gotten this. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous book. Hold on, let's see if I can, oh, yes, look at this. Amazing. Right up my alley. This is just fantastic. So starting off on this classics shelf, we have my Penguin English Libraries. So we have The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, one of my favorite classics ever, one of my favorite Victorian novels. Followed by that, we have one of my favorite authors ever. We have Far From the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. We also have Tess of the D'Urbervilles. And then The Mayor of Casterbridge. These are some of my absolute favorites. All three of these are 5-star reads. And The Mayor of Casterbridge actually happens to be similar to the one white. One of the few Penguin English libraries I own that have the buttery covers. Next we have The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, followed by The Island of Dr. Moreau. And these are my two favorite out of the H.G. Wells science fiction novels. We got The Hound of the Baskervilles. This might be my favorite cover out of the Penguin English Libraries. I just love the orange and the cyan together. And then right next to that, we got The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton, a new favorite of mine. Love, love, love. Following that, we have Babylon Revisited by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is part of the Alma Classics. And these are my favorite editions, or favorite paperback editions of Scott's works. We got my NYRBs, so we have The Other by Thomas Tryon. along with Shadows of Carcosa, Tales of Cosmic Horror. This one's an anthology. And then following NYRBs, we got the Penguin Black Spines. We have The Fall of the House of Usher and Other Writings. And then this really beat up copy of the 3 Theban plays by Sophocles. So we have Antigone, Oedipus the King, and Oedipus at Colonus. Got this one secondhand, but I'll take my Penguin classics in any condition, honestly. Then we have my Oxfords, at least the ones that I've read. By the way, all of these are read on these main shelves. I have a separate TBR stack. So for the Oxfords, I got Lives of the Caesars by Suetonius, and then The Great God Pan and Other Horror Stories by Arthur Machen. Followed by 2 of the Penguin Orange collection. We got The Call of Cthulhu and Other Weird Stories by H.P. Lovecraft, along with We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Next we have my, not the only one that I have, but it's one of the Penguin Classics Deluxe Editions, and this is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Love this cover so much. This really is one of the best covers to a classic, in my opinion. Like, it really fits the atmosphere, the tone of the book. So yeah, that's my favorite cover out of that edition. We got the Scribner edition of The Great Gatsby, the one with the Celestial Eyes cover, the original cover. We have this Penguin Ink edition of The Bloody Chamber and Other Stories by Angela Carter. Another amazing design. I got this for really cheap secondhand and I love it. Then we have my Penguin Modern Classics. So we got Perfume by Patrick Susskind, and then White Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. This one I really adore. And this one actually is due for a reread. Then we have my One Red Vintage Spine, At the End of the Affair by Graham Greene, which I actually had to read for my my class Philosophy of Religion, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed both the class and the book. We have my Virago Modern Classic edition of My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier, one of my favorite books, and my second favorite du Maurier. This is an excellent, brilliant novel. Then we have my Only Everyman's Library. We have The Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy, a recent read if you've watched my Then Now Later video. Excellent. And then, by the way, these actually happen to be like my favorite hardbacks to read from, and I would like to get more of them. And then lastly, we have Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This is part of the vintage dystopian line that is unfortunately out of print. I was only able to get this one, but as you can tell, the name and the title are embossed, and I just love this. And it has red sprayed edges. Gorgeous. So yeah, that's the second shelf. So for this third shelf, I'm sitting on the floor, so this is going to be a bit difficult, but we're just going to push through. Now, the first book we have here is I Die For You and Other Lost Stories by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is a collection of short stories that were either just physically lost or not so well known. And I love this teal hardback. I have to thank my cousin who got it for me in the UK. Thank you, AC. Love you. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. I always enjoy a good F. Scott Fitzgerald short story. Next is The Raven and Other Poems by Edgar Allan Poe. This one is special because it has illustrations by Edmund Dulac. And then we have here my favorite ongoing YA fantasy series. This is The Mere Visitor Saga by Christelle de Beau. It's a French series, so I have to wait for English translations. So the first one here is A Winter's Promise. The second book is The Missing of Claire de Lune. And then The Memory of Babel. And all of these have gorgeous covers, by the way. Following that, we have In the Country by May Alvar. This is a collection of short stories that not a lot of people talk about, but I love this. This is like one of the collections where I had no qualms giving it 5 stars. Like, each story in it was a 5-star for me. And I love this cover, this edition. I don't think you can get it anywhere else. Like the only place I was able to get this only in the Philippines. So yeah, love that cover. Set in Stone by Lyndon Newberry. A great historical fiction. I really enjoyed this one. I just reread it for the second time. The first time I read it was in high school, and I think it still holds up. I would recommend this for those who are into like The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, like that sort of sensational gothic type of story. Friday's Child by Georgette Heyer, my favorite Georgette Heyer, by the way. Love Friday's Child. And Georgette Heyer is the only romance author that I actually read from. Then we have my two Naomi Noviks. I love these. Uprooted, and then Spinning Silver. These are both fantastic. I love them both. And if Naomi Novik is willing to do a fantasy, loose fairy tale retelling of The Little Mermaid, I'll be totally on board. Then we got I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid, a pleasant surprise. I can't wait to reread this one. One of I think the most recent book to actually scare me. Then we have The Secret History by Donna Tartt, a booktube darling, and yes, I really, really enjoyed this. I understand why it's a lot of people's favorite, and yeah, it's amazing. Then we have I Have No Mouth and I'm a Screen by Harlan Ellison. This is a collection of short stories, speculative short stories. The title one is like one of the bleakest short stories I've ever come across. Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I know this is the beginning of a trilogy, but I just treat it as its own. I really enjoyed this one. This one is great. This is called The Thought Book of F. Scott Fitzgerald, and this is basically, you're reading a little boy's diary. This is basically what this is. So yeah, when F. Scott Fitzgerald was a young boy in Minnesota, he kept a diary, and this contains a lot of his exploits, his childish exploits. Then we have Rubicon, The Last Years of the Roman Republic by Tom Holland. Not that Tom Holland. And yeah, I'm really on a Roman history kick at the moment. Dear Scott, Dear Zelda. So this is the love letters of F. Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald. Would recommend if you want to learn a bit more about them. I thought this was fantastic. And then we have Phantom by Susan Kay. This is sort of, you know what Wicked was to The Wicked Witch of the West? This is that to The Phantom of the Opera. I thought this was excellent. A fantastic reimagining of the Phantom's backstory. Yeah, I need to reread this, but I loved it when I first read it. Now, this stack on the other side of the room is my TBR stack, and as the name suggests, these are all the books that I have yet to read. So I'll just show you this one by one. No Name by Wilkie Collins. Hamlet by Shakespeare. Misery by Stephen King. Justine by Lawrence Durrell. Tender's the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The Gallic War by Julius Caesar. Collected Ghost Stories of M.R. James. Sanditon by Jane Austen. The Woodlanders by Thomas Hardy. Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. The Thing on the Doorstep and Other Weird Stories by H.P. Lovecraft. The Dreams in the Witch House and Other Weird Stories by H.P. Lovecraft. The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro. Stoner by John Williams. The King in Yellow by Robert W. Chambers. The Curious Case of H.P. Lovecraft by Paul Rowland. The Horror in the Museum, 24 Chilling Tales by H.P. Lovecraft and Others. Dune by Frank Herbert. So down below the TBR stack, we actually have books here. These shelves aren't really meant to host books, but I was sorely lacking in room. So these are sort of to keep my smaller classics and then my SF masterworks. The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare. Another copy of Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare. Persuasion by Jane Austen. Then Dracula by Bram Stoker. Mockingbird by Walter Tevis. The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. The Man Who Fell to Earth by Walter Tevis. Time at a Joint by Philip K. Dick. I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. And lastly, The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. So those were my shelves. Thank you to everyone who stuck around to watch. And if you have any questions regarding, certain editions or where I got my books, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And once again, thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.